just in the 10 months since the pandemic really came onto the stage, our companies have started over 800 research and development programs, all focused at finding therapeutics or vaccines to fight COVID. 191 COVID vaccines are actually in development. The COVID vaccines have been through more scrutiny and more examination than almost any vaccine in history. And so while I know folks are worried about the politicization of science, know that there are so many eyes on this process that when we get vaccines out to patients, they're going to be some of the most trusted vaccines ever developed. And that is important for us all to remember as we want to try to return our country to normal.
It's been 24/7 since the beginning of this year when the sequence of the coronavirus became available in January. And so since then, teams across Johnson & Johnson have been working fast and furious. And our goal is to actually have the first batches of the vaccines available for emergency use authorization in early January 2021. And we hope to make 1 billion vaccines per year. And our commitment is to make it available for a not-for-profit price across the world. We need a robust pipeline of people. And the diversity of ideas from across the world is what sparks innovation. And I think we all believe and know that science is not an individual activity, it's a team sport, but it's also an international collaborative enterprise.
Or every 2 to 3 times COVID jumps from person to person, a mutation is introduced in the genome, pretty much randomly. And this effectively leaves a breadcrumb trail in the genome that allows you to trace back where the virus has been. So imagine that you have 2 skilled nursing facilities, both of which had outbreaks. In the sequence data, we saw that they shared identical genomes, but they're geographically distant from each other. And we know that they didn't share patients.
Yeah.
So it immediately led to the conclusion that they had to share employees.
Yeah.
And then the Department of Health was able to find the linkages between these facilities to cut transmission chains short. Many of these lessons were learned in the 1918 pandemic, but were forgotten over the decades. We need to relearn how to work together and transmit data, information in real time. And I hope that we learn to use these tools and technologies that are developed to now attack the things that prior to COVID really weren't getting the attention that they deserved. You can't sit back and wait for the cavalry to come, because if there's anything we learned in this pandemic, no one's coming.
Science, of course, is about a search for truth. It's essential that the public trusts the science agencies to fulfill their missions, which have been authorized and funded and have oversight from Congress. I think that the future of science in America depends on scientific integrity and relies on the trust of its citizens. I think that there is more of an effort on the part of scientists and engineers and the science agencies of everyone and media publications to really reinforce how long it takes and the different steps.
The IPCC makes it very clear that we need to reduce our carbon emissions in half by 2030. And what that looks like is essentially a 7.5% reduction in emissions every year from 2020 to 2030. So, there's the ability for Biden to establish a climate mobilization office. I think what we need to see is a larger level, coherent effort to specifically fight the climate crisis that works across, the Treasury, labor, energy, transportation, agriculture, interior, across these different sectors.
We're going to need more than one. We're going to need many vaccines. And it's fantastic that we have so many shots on goal. There are going to be some vaccines that are more amenable to certain populations more than others. There are going to be ones that need a single dose, as the J&J one is, as opposed to a dual dose vaccine for ease of administration. Some of them are only stable at -70. Some can be frozen. Some are stable at room temperature. So as we think about immunizing the globe, we're going to need lots of different technologies to get to the finish line.